Welcome back to the Something in the Wilderness podcast, a music discussion podcast about the songs of Andrew McMahon. Now that we've had a few months to let the new Wilderness album kind of marinate a bit, it's time to bring that one to the forefront of the conversation. So recently, Sam reached out and suggested we cover a newer song. So I'm glad to introduce you to Sam, technically our first international guest, actually.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Yeah, everyone else that's been on the show has been from the States. So.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm very happy to be your first Canadian.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. So, are you outside of Toronto, somewhere near Toronto? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm about 2 hours north of Toronto.
Okay.
Just in a small town. There's like 8,000 people here, and it's just trees around us, and love it.
I'm sure it's beautiful up there.
Yeah, so it's very nice.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, yes, my name is Samantha. I go by Sam. I am your true Canadian for sure. I love my Tim Hortons. Have my Tim Hortons almost every day. Say sorry way too much, but that's us Canadians for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a single mom of two beautiful girls. I run a home daycare. So I have two families that I have in, and I love those kids just as much as my own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very involved in my little small community. I help out a lot with my daughter's school. I'm actually co-chair with my best friend on it. So very, very involved in the community, which I love.
Very cool.
I'm a big lover of music. Andrew McMahon and Hanson are my tops that I like to listen to. And and I'd like to bake.
Okay. Well, I've heard the Hanson connection and the Andrew fan base before, so I wonder what it is about Hanson with Andrew McMahon. I don't know if they've toured together or whatever, but there must be some kind of connection there in terms of the sound, because I've heard several fans that are Andrew fans say they're Hanson fans.
I've heard that as well. I don't know if it's the whole piano thing or what it is.
Oh, true.
But I know that like Andrew and Taylor Hanson have done a few things together. Like Taylor Hanson did an interview with Andrew.
Oh, right.
So I watched
I saw that.
That was quite interesting for me to see kind of those two worlds collide. I was like, oh my gosh.
Both in the same room. I do remember that now. Yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
Yep, that's on YouTube. I'll have to link that. I'm going to make a note to link that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good one.
Tell us how Andrew's music first found you anyway.
So I remember it actually just like it was yesterday. I was at a New Found Glory concert. I tried to look up. I don't know if it was 2002. They were close to Toronto in that year, and something corporate was opening up for New Found Glory. Mm-hmm. So I had heard them there, and immediately I was drawn to them, like with the piano and the whole rock thing. And then I remember after the concert, I actually met Brian, the drummer of Something Corporate, and he was just the nicest, funnest guy that it almost like made you want to find out more about them. Mm-hmm. So like I remember going and like, you know, doing all my stuff to like look into them, and
which was harder back then in those days.
It was a lot harder back then. You couldn't
just find everything on the
internet.
Pull out
your phone and like Google it, but I got more info on them, found them, I'm sure, on MySpace or whatever was available then, and I was a fan forever.
So we can thank Brian partially for your fandom, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, I have not heard that one before. That's really cool. So maybe they were all just a bunch of great guys. We know Andrew's a great guy because we've met him before, but I've never met the other guys in Something Corporate. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah. I remember meeting Clutch too, and he was pretty awesome. He seemed a little bit more shy, but he was pretty funny.
That's great.
So that always makes it more, I don't know, for me, when you can experience the person that kind of makes that music and they are someone that you can relate to and that you want to support.
I agree with you. I've had the opportunity to meet a few artists, and to me, it does make a big difference, that connection. So once you meet an artist, you want to support them. So you want to kind of go on the journey with them. And that's what I found not only with Andrew, but some other artists I enjoy as well. So. Right,
yeah. Now it can go the other way. I won't name a band, but there was a band that I did meet, and they were not the nicest band. And it was like, oh, okay, now I don't want to listen to their music. It turned me off so bad.
I guess I've had positive experiences unless there's one I can't think of. But right now, I can only think of positive experiences I've had
Oh,
meeting
that's good.
artists. Yeah, I guess I'm really fortunate in that way. So
Yes, yeah.
well, let's talk about a little bit about the song that we're going to talk about today. So after count them up, 5 pre-album singles dropped earlier this year and late last year. The Wilderness Camp dropped a 6th song from Tilt at the Wind No More, not long before the album came out, just to give us a taste of what to expect. And the song we're talking about today, I don't think it was too far different from a lot of the things that they had released, let's say. But like some others, this one did hit me pretty deep. And I have to admit, I usually mix up the words in the title of this song. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's like I have to sing the chorus in my head to remember what the song is called.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if that's weird, but I'm pretty sure by the time we're done talking about it today, I'm pretty sure that won't happen again, because I'm probably going to say the title like 10 or 12 times in the next half hour or so. But the song we're talking about today is, and I'm reading off my notes, Nobody Tells You When You're Young. The band is Andrew McMahon of the Wilderness. The song was released on February 22nd, earlier this year, 2023, about 5 weeks ahead of the album dropping. It wasn't technically a single, apparently, from anything that I can find. But it does appear as track 10 on Tilt of the Wind No More, and that album was released on March 31st, as most of us know. Sam, what was your anticipation like for the new album when you started hearing those new songs late last year? Talk me through some of that.
Oh, well, I actually remember. So I watch YouTube concerts, and I was watching one of Andrew, and he was doing, it was just him and the keyboard. And he had played 2 of the newer songs, and this was before like he had really released anything. And it was just so exciting to hear. Like, I'm big into lyrics. That's what I really like. I think for me, hearing all these songs that he was coming out with, and like all the lyrics were so different, but it was still like Andrew's music. It was just, I just couldn't wait for the next song to, what's he going to be telling in this story? What's the takeaway from this song? Like, I love his lyrics.
For someone who likes lyrics, you picked a good one here, because there's some great lyrics we're going to talk about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
this is a good one.
Yeah, this was a whole new era for lyrics, because it's very clear from the lyrics on this album kind of what point in his life he's at.
Right.
He and I are of a similar age, I would say, and I've always been able to relate to his lyrics. So he's in this era, turning 40 and just kind of looking back, reflecting on life, and that's a lot of this song, but it's a lot of the songs on this album. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking lyrics here. So from an American Songwriter review of the album from March 2023, this quote: "As the album comes to a close, McMahon steps back from the synth-fueled theatrics with the piano-driven Nobody Tells You When You're Young. The wounding tune is a heart-to-heart with the inner child, an apology for all the heartache and the letdowns." The beginning of this quote, and I sent you a couple of quotes ahead of time. I didn't send you this one, but this quote from American Songwriter, I kind of chuckled when I read, he steps back from the synth-fueled theatrics. I guess that's what they're calling the more poppy songs on the album.
Okay.
We were introduced to that side of Andrew earlier on in the last decade with the Pop Underground EP and Zombies on Broadway especially, and here and there with some other things. But I do like the second half of the quote. I think that was complimentary. Whether the first half was, I don't know. I don't think so. But the second half, I think, was the wounding tune is a heart-to-heart with the inner child, an apology for the heartache and the letdown. So I kind of like that part, so I wanted to share that quote. The song was recorded sometime in 2022. I don't have the exact time frame. You'd think I would, because I'm on Camp Wilderness, and I know he was posting videos throughout the year of when he was recording. I don't have any way of going back on the feed, and you can't search out the videos and the posts by keyword or anything like that. So I'd have to go through over a year's worth, probably a year and a half's worth of posts to figure out when he was recording these songs, and I'm not going to do that. But
yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
What I was going to say was,
I tried
Sometime
to,
last year, right?
yeah, I tried to just find when I saw him in concert, like when I first met them, but I couldn't
Yeah.
find that. So
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough, right? I mean, just
yeah,
to go back and yeah, I know. I feel like I'm trying to be a detective. I don't feel like a detective. I'm not. I feel like I'm trying to be a detective sometimes when I
right.
try to figure some of these things out. Like when was that song first released? When was that? Some things
Yeah.
are easier to find than others. But
Oh, absolutely.
let's talk about one of these quotes that I sent to you. So
Yes.
regarding the songwriting. In a Consequence of Sound article, I really like this article. I'm going to link it in the show notes. It actually gives he gives a description of the songwriting for every song on the album. He breaks each one down. So that's
Oh, I would love that.
yeah. So I'll have the link in the show notes. A lot of good material for every track I'm going to talk about in this album in the future. So here's the quote he gave for Nobody Tells You When You're Young. It's not often that I step outside of pure autobiography and write other characters. But something about the protagonist in this song felt like a version of myself if I'd chosen a different path in life. I used the writing process to try and understand where this person came from, why he ran away, how he made a life that eventually fell apart, but found peace in the end. I was fascinated by the idea of framing his story by singing about the things I wish people told me when I was growing up. Ultimately, I realized that most of what I focused on were the things I was told, but had to learn through experience. It's definitely a quote, getting older song for me. And part of creating this album was facing that reality head on and embracing it. I couldn't begin to count the number of times Nobody Tells You was recorded, but it was a lot. I had been sitting with it for years, and I always loved it. And we worked through so many iterations, attempting to make it this bigger, more rhythmic production before settling on this starker arrangement. So Sam, can you, just based on that last part he said, can you imagine this as a synth-fueled song? I'll use the quote from the guy earlier.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe that this could have ever been
Yeah.
like that, but I don't know. I mean, apparently a good song could be in any genre, right?
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's the same. Like it seems like this is how that song was meant to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I don't know if you watched the Live in London that he just did, where
Yes.
he
How
did
great.
Hurricane. And he did Hurricane just on the piano. And that's a song that, has all the guitar and the drums and like that's a song that is different with just the piano, but he did it with the piano and it was like, whoa, like so good.
Yeah, in such a
Right?
way that if someone had never heard that song and they heard that version, they might have, and he hadn't made the comments that he made. Because
Right.
I love that he said, imagine some heavy guitar right here while
Yeah.
he's playing. But if he hadn't said that and someone had been watching that and never heard Hurricane before, they might think that was a legitimate ballad or something.
Exactly. So I don't know. I feel like he could like take anything and make it new and make it awesome.
Yeah, he could make it a pop song
Yeah.
with synths and different sounds, or he can.
Yeah.
I like the choice with just the piano, mainly just piano and vocals on this one personally.
Yes, I'm the same. I like it how it is, especially
Yeah,
when you see him do it live.
yeah, for sure.
There's just no other way, it seems, for it to be done. It's incredible.
I feel like it would have taken away from how great the lyrics are to
Mm,
have it be something a little bit bigger and
yeah.
louder, let's say. I also want to talk about this getting older idea. I don't know about you, but as I get older, I find myself listening to music about getting older. And I'm sure it's because the artists that I enjoy are also getting older. I don't know. I
Right.
don't I don't
Yeah.
tend to listen to super young artists, I guess, in general. So I don't know which way it goes. I don't know if I'm listening to it because I'm getting older and I relate to it more, or the people I'm listening to
Probably.
are getting older. Maybe all of the above.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that it's about getting older and kind of looking back and that sort of thing.
I'm the same. It's funny because even with this, like I say to my two girls all the time, they're always wanting to be grown up. I want to be a teenager. I want to do this. I want to drive a car. I want to, they just want to be grown ups. And
Don't wish it all
it's,
away.
it's, the just, just stop, enjoy being a kid. And like, I remember being told that, right? Like, just stop, slow down, enjoy being a kid. And it's like, you don't listen to it because
No.
you're just not in that mindset, right?
Right. Yeah, someone can tell you that, but we're not ready to hear it.
Exactly.
Same here. My dad would tell me that all the time. I think he would say something like, "Don't wish your life away. Don't wish it all away. Enjoy
Yeah.
this." And he's absolutely right. Still right. Was right back then, but I wasn't listening back then, And now, just like yours, I have two daughters. It's actually my oldest, I would say, is more in that mindset now. She just
Right.
wants to be older. I can't wait to get to high school. I want to drive. I want to get a job. It's like,
Yes.
no, 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 you really don't. Trust me.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
don't want that responsibility and that obligation, and just enjoy not having that.
Right.
It's hard to tell someone young that.
Exactly. That's something that they have to figure out when they're our age, right?
Right, I know, unfortunately, as it goes. And that's a lot of what the song is about.
Yeah.
I ordered the vinyl of this album a few months ago, which is weird for me because I actually don't collect vinyl. So I think I have two modern artists' vinyl in my basement, and the other one is my daughter's Taylor Swift record. And now I have Andrew McMahon.
There you go. Great collection.
Yeah, I wanted to buy it because on Camp Wilderness they were doing like a special color, and I bought into the whole like, ooh, special color vinyl.
Yeah. Pretty. Yay.
Yeah, but I did open it because I was wondering who played any instruments on this track. Unlike a lot of the liner notes for Andrew McMahon Wilderness albums, they actually don't say who plays what. So it says
Oh,
it's produced by Andrew McMahon, Tommy English, and Jeremy Hatcher, but it doesn't actually say who plays any of the instruments. I got to imagine this track, it's just Andrew on a piano. I'm sure there's some other
yeah.
things going on
Yeah.
that we don't realize. But yeah, I mentioned some producers. Andrew, Tommy English, and Jeremy Hatcher produced the whole album, including the song. And I was thinking that this sounds like more of a lo-fi production, so I wouldn't think it would be as heavy in the production. But these guys were just listed as the whole album, so it didn't break it
Okay.
down track by track. But you may remember Tommy English from songs like Brooklyn, You're Killing Me, and Island Radio from the Zombies on Broadway album, so he produced those. And then, Sam, do you know the name Jeremy Hatcher? Have you heard that before? And do you know what he's kind of famous for right now?
No.
So, Jeremy Hatcher, this isn't what he's famous for, but he is dating Morgan Paris, who used to be the violinist, keyboardist for Andrew Mann in the Wilderness a couple years ago.
Right.
And now he's famous for, in the mainstream, he produced the last Harry Styles album. Are you familiar with Harry
Oh, wow.
Styles?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He actually won,
Okay.
I think, don't quote me on it, I think he won 3 Grammys for that.
Oh, wow.
So he's made quite a name for himself,
Yeah.
but he's been friends with Andrew for years and came back and to his buddy Andrew and produced his album for him this past year.
Wow.
So Andrew's like 2 degrees away from Harry Styles now, so in a couple
Of
different
course.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah. It's time for his Grammy now.
I know. Yeah, so he's made the gold record, time for his Grammy. So let's talk about the live history. So I'm
Mm.
really looking forward to hearing what that show for you was like in Toronto, because we saw a show from the same tour on the same weekend, but 2 different nights. So how was that?
It was amazing. So leading up to it was huge for me. I have lived in a domestic abuse world for the last little bit, which is
Mhm.
why I am now single. I left my husband about a year ago. And Andrew's music has been really big for me for like in my healing journey. So I've actually reached out to Andrew a couple times on Instagram and he's, messaged me back. And
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, you've been very, very kind. And so this concert was kind of my like when I would be alone and having a hard time, it was Andrew's music that would come through.
Oh,
So for me going to see him live was just like it was such a build up. So I was, like jumping off the walls for like weeks before. And then so I did the VIP.
oh, fantastic.
That was amazing. So I got if you went, you would see he did like a notebook was one of the things that he would give.
Hmm.
And inside there were some lyrics on some of the pages. So I got him to sign and then I framed them for myself and my daughter. So I got the one, I'll write the words if you sing along. And he signed that to Sam and then he signed one for my daughter and just amazing. But when we got there, he was already for the VIP, he was already on stage and we all kind of went in. There was maybe about, I'd say 50 of us. We go in and he welcomes us all, and he just starts kind of playing on the piano, doing his thing. And he played Me and the Moon and As You Sleep, which are two of my big songs that I really, really love. So he played both of those. And then it was really unique, actually, because I'm not much, like, I don't know the music world much. I don't have knowledge on music, but I can enjoy music and love it. So when he was doing As You Sleep, there was a mess up with the band. At the one part, it kind of goes silent and then they all come back in together, but they all didn't come back in on the same note. So then Andrew kind of stopped it, and then he had like all his lingo music stuff that he's talking to the other band guys, and he's like, oh, you come in on this and after this beat and blah, blah, blah. And as a fan, it was just so unique to see that happen in front of you. It was just like, whoa, like just, hearing him use all that vocabulary and like, this is it happening right here.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's like you get a peek behind the scenes, behind the curtain of the band kind of practicing.
Yeah, it was a really unique experience. And then actually another unique thing that happened during our VIP was we were all lined up waiting to meet Andrew, and he was with people, and then we heard a big bang. And we look over, and there's a bunch of people crowding around someone. One of the venue employees fell off the stage.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And we all kind of like look around, like we're not sure what's going on. There's like other venue employees there, but they're not doing anything. And who stops his meeting? And he just very politely, I'm so sorry, guys. Andrew goes over, grabs a chair, puts it over the bar to hand for this guy. And it's like, what a nice guy. Like, just to stop his meet and greet. There were so many other people that could have done that. Mm-hmm. And he was like one of the first guys there to help. It was just like, just shows you how good of a guy he is,
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I hope the employee is okay, but I'm grateful to hear that story, because that kind of fits in with everything I know about Andrew, everything I've been hearing from people about Andrew. I have my experiences with him, but there's so much I don't know about the guy. Mm-hmm. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, it just makes you want to support and go along for the ride with someone who's just so genuine and kind and loving and helpful toward people. So.
Yeah, even when I met him, because I had said I spoke to him on Instagram a couple times, and he knew who I was. I had thanked him, and I said, like, your music has gotten me through a lot. And he just said to me, he's like, you know what, Sam, you're the one who had the strength to get yourself through it. I did nothing. And I was like, oh my goodness, like just a really, really good guy. So yeah, the VIP was amazing.
It's nice that you had the opportunity to have that conversation with him.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I would do. I didn't know if I'd get emotional, but he was just so easy to talk to, and it made it a lot easier. And yeah, he's just a wonderful guy.
That's great. Yeah, I knew that you did VIP because I saw the picture of you and him on your Instagram.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you about that. So you got to meet him, you got to hear the songs he played, and he played some pretty special songs, it sounds like, during the VIP.
Yeah.
I got to say, As You Sleep is one of those songs that I'm still chasing. I have not heard that in concert, and it is one of my favorite Andrew songs of all time.
Oh, it's so good. It's my oldest daughter is 7, and that's our song that I've always sang that to her when she was a little girl. And so now it's the song. So whenever he played it, it was emotional for me at that time. I got all my emotions out before I met him, which was good. But it's a phenomenal song.
That's great. I'm so glad you got to hear that song and meet Andrew and have that conversation. When he opened the show, what did you think about that? Considering it's the song we're talking about today, especially. But I mean, what did you think about the opener of the actual concert?
At first, I had seen kind of like snippets that he was out in the crowd, right? But I don't know, being there, it was like you're looking around for him, right? Like you hear it, it's like, where is he? Where is he?
I agree.
But it was so exciting. It's such a way to set the mood for a concert where I feel like that just sets the mood that it's not just him up on a stage and us down there, right? Like we're all there together, and he
Yep.
makes it feel that way. Like,
Right. He's with us.
yeah, and it makes you feel like he actually appreciates you because he's down there and he's looking into your eyes as he's singing, and it's just so interactive that it feels like he wants to be there and he appreciates you. And just it was amazing. I had never seen someone start a concert like that. Like usually it's that big, like
Yeah.
they're coming out, right?
Big
But just to
crashing
start it,
loud song. Yeah.
yeah, but to start it like that was ballsy, and I think he rocked it.
I know I've heard him say that he and his team are always looking for new ways to interact with the audience and start the show, and kind of new things they can come up with to be just different from what they've done before. And that's something I just wouldn't have thought of, but I did love it. I love the fact that it was a slower song to kind of get us in, like you said, in the mindset. And it was about just kind of being together. And we're all focused on, what he's doing. Hey, what's he doing with that, music box that he's cranking while he's walking, and he's singing, like you said. I love that you pointed out he's looking right into your eyes and singing. And it's a little bit intimidating at times, but he's just a human being, and he's down here singing with us, and we're singing along. I don't know if you had a chance to see the Upside Down Flowers tour a few years ago, but he started that show with a slow song as well. So he's done not something similar, but he's done a slow song to start the show before, though. He did Everything Must Go. And I thought to look up the history of that song live, and here's why. Because he's now played Nobody Tells You When You're Young 26 times in concert, which is a lot for a slower song. But I wonder if he's going to retire that song from the live show for a while now, because he's played it so much, and because it was kind of the very Instagrammable, real start to the show. Everybody knows about it now that's in the fan base. But I noticed that Everything Must Go was never played again after the Upside Down Flowers tour. I am wondering if this song will be the same.
No.
You really want to hear that one again?
I love it. Like I love this song live. It was fantastic. It just the way that he did it live, the way that the lyrics come across when it's just him up there singing it. Hopefully it again, because I want to see that one again live. I'm so jealous of everyone that gets to see him in the next little bit after I saw him in concerts. Like, I just want to go again and again.
No, I get it. I get kind of addicted about it too, because I got to see him again just a few weeks later. And it was very similar to that London show that we both watched on the live stream recently. And it was such a different show, but still, I already can't wait to go see him again later this year. I like seeing different songs, but yeah, there's songs like this that's just like, no, that would be really cool to see again, though. But I also have kind of I've said this before, kind of a collect them all attitude where I'm like, oh, I want to hear different songs too in concerts. Oh, I also wanted to mention that Andrew did perform this song on his garage sessions on Camp Wilderness. So he started this thing, back in February when this song came out, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to do some what I'm calling garage sessions," and it's basically just him on a piano, and it's a really clean, crisp version of this song. I know that's pretty much what it is on the album too, just him and a piano.
Yeah.
But it came through really, really nicely from his home studio. I thought that was great. And he's done those other songs like Casting Lines, and he even did Last Rites, which was interesting because
oh, wow.
yeah, Last Rites is obviously not a piano-only song. So that was
No.
that was kind of a cool way to hear that song. So I'm hoping he does
that's
more
neat.
of them.
Yeah, I love when you see his creativity, right? Like because as I said, I'm not one that knows a lot of music knowledge, but I can tell when a song's been changed.
Yeah.
And it's just neat to see how it can be changed so much and the feel can be so different.
Yeah, like you said regarding the London live stream, it's really neat to hear songs like Hurricane on just a piano, or in the case of the garage sessions with Last Rites, just on a piano. I find it fascinating when he does songs differently. It's pretty incredible how a good song can translate so well, and again, into different genres and different styles. So he has been playing a lot of the new songs off the album. In fact, he's played all of them at least a couple of times, which I found really cool, that the band learned every song. Not every band does that. Some bands just focus on like a few of the singles and maybe a few deep cuts. for their tour, but they actually played them all at some point. Were there any songs not played in Toronto that are from the new album that you would have loved to hear?
None that I could really think of, but it's funny that you say about like the band not knowing songs because during the VIP, he had asked for a request and someone had screamed out Straw Dog. And then he had said to the guys, he's like, you guys don't know that one, do you? And then they're like, we could maybe figure it out. So I thought that was kind of a neat little thing to see, but
Yeah, I love those moments where you just, again, peek behind the curtain. It's just like, yeah, they're just regular people like us.
Exactly, right. And I was hoping, like I know I got lucky with not off the new album, but with As You Sleep, him doing it during the VIP. But I was there with my best friend, and I really wanted her to hear that song live, just because it's just such a good song. But he didn't do it during the like live concert, just during the VIP. But I can't be picky here. I know I got to hear it once. So
does Andrew come to Toronto often, or is it pretty rare?
no, it's not that often that he comes. It's been a while.
I think those of us who live near cities that a lot of artists tour through regularly really take it for granted and don't realize that there's a lot of cities, both in the United States, throughout Canada, and especially overseas for an American artist, that they get to see these artists we love so much more rarely than we do, because Andrew comes to Ohio almost every single tour, and I'm grateful for that. But there's a lot of places he doesn't go very often. I've had guests from South Carolina, from Kansas, and there's just places he doesn't go. Maybe it's Oklahoma, actually. And there's just places he doesn't go in the States. And I'm sure it's true for places like Toronto as well, where it's much more rare.
A lot of people seem to miss Toronto. I don't know what it is. Like, actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rocket Summer, but I just saw him in Toronto.
I do know of the Rocket Summer. I almost said them, but it's a he, right?
Yeah. It's just a one guy, Bryce, that does it.
Yeah.
And he was saying during his concert that Toronto is always more difficult to get into the border.
Oh.
He said that it is a headache for bands to get into Canada, but he said, like, we love it, so we just deal with it. But I have heard that a lot, that the Canadian border is very, very difficult, and especially actually, I remember I'm also into country music, and I remember Brad Paisley. He had said that. I saw him at a Casino Rama, and he said the same thing. He's like, your border control is insane. Like, it's so hard to get in here.
Wow.
So I don't know if that has something to do with it for us, because like I noticed, like, I'm a fan of New Found Glory, and they're on tour, and there's no Toronto. So I don't know if that's the same thing.
Maybe.
But yeah, we seem to get missed.
Not that I'm a touring artist, of course, but I did grow up only a half hour from the Canadian border into Windsor from Detroit. Yeah, I haven't gone back since 9/11, I don't think. We used to go to Canada, I wouldn't say all the time or anything like that, but it was at least once a year we go over just to hang out and see something different, and or maybe go up to Toronto or Canada's Wonderland. I went to Montreal in college. That was fun too.
Right, yeah.
Some of us that go to Niagara Falls go through Canada to get there by way of Detroit through Windsor. I guess I haven't been back. I don't know what it's like, but I'm sure it's very different for a touring band or artist compared to just a residential person driving in their car to cross the border. So it's on our list to vacation into again. Let's talk songwriting regarding Nobody Tells You When You're Young. So again, I opened the vinyl record recently, and I wanted to know who helped Andrew write this song. I couldn't find it explicitly on the internet, and it's so new, I wasn't sure that it would be accurate anyway. What I do like about the liner notes in each of the Andrew McMahon and Wilderness albums is that the songwriters are always listed song by song, because it does vary. Sometimes it's a solo written song by Andrew. A lot of times in the latest era, it's him with other co-writers. And I was surprised by this one. Just the sound of the song alone, and maybe some of the lyrics in there a little bit, made me think that he wrote this song solo. But according to the liner notes, that's not the case. The songwriting credits include the same people that were the producers on the album, and that's Jeremy Hatcher, Tommy English, and Andrew McMahon.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if the lyrics are completely his. I mean, I would think so. Or the piano was written by somebody else, or what. It just kind of makes you
Right.
wonder, right? So what did those other people write?
Right. Yeah, because like that's the thing is it could have just been something,
An
not
idea.
not to say simple, but yeah, like something like changing of a word or,
Hmm.
but they need to get the credit because yeah, same. I would have thought that that was just the lyrics, the way it was written and stuff. It seems like it is just an Andrew, like, right out of his diary.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Again, in this latest era, I really appreciate that he's giving very good descriptions of his songs. And so this is what he said about the songwriting. He dropped this on Instagram, I think about a week before the song came out in February. This is what he had to say. Nobody tells you when you're young is about how the most important lessons in life are often unteachable. Despite the best intentions of those who go before us, many of life's most profound, thrilling, and heartbreak moments cannot be explained or prepared for. Encountering some of life's great milestones, fatherhood and marriage, grief and loss, success and failure, I've often been struck by the notion that someone should have paved the way for me, only to realize they had, and I just wasn't listening. That's what this song's about. It's not an indictment of youth or maturity. It's just a simple realization that some things you have to see for yourself. I can definitely relate to that ending part of what he's saying is that I remember my dad tried to tell me all kinds of things, and we kind of touched on that earlier. He would say, "Oh, don't wish your life away." He's a very smart guy, still is, was back then. And
Mhm.
he would tell me things, and I don't know what it is about kids. We just don't think adults know anything. I say we as I'm still a kid, but when we're
Yeah.
young, we don't think adults know anything. But as we get older, we realize they did know something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're trying to pass all that knowledge on to us and we don't want to listen.
Right. And then
We want to be us, right? We want to do our own thing. We want to rebel. We want to figure things out for ourselves. We don't want to listen to you telling us what to do.
I think maybe it's a little bit like parenthood in that maybe adulthood is a little like parenthood specifically. You just have to see for yourself. Like it's really hard to explain to a non-parent what parenthood is like, right? And we can try,
Right.
but
Oh, yeah.
it's very difficult to do so and have them actually understand what it feels like to be a parent of a child. They have to
Right.
experience it themselves. Maybe that's adulthood too. Maybe it's just, hey, you have to kind of experience it yourself. I mean, you can explain it to a kid, but they're not in a place where they can feel that yet. And
Exactly. They're just not there, right? Like I say to my girls all the time, like, don't sweat the small stuff. And, that was
mhm,
always said to me too. And it hits me different today than it would hit them.
yeah,
Like to them, someone taking their Barbie is a huge thing,
right.
right? It's the end of the world. But you have to, kind of realize that, the small things don't always really matter. They're not the things that are going to make or break you in this world.
Right. Yeah. And we know once we get older, I'm not going to say I have it figured out because I don't and I never will apparently,
Yeah, no. Yeah.
but I've learned at least that as I've gotten older. And it's just so interesting in this quote that he says he feels like someone should have paved the way for me, but he's realizing they actually did. He just
They
wasn't
did. Yeah.
listening.
Exactly.
I put out a poll on Instagram a couple of months ago when this song came out, and I said, "Name some things that nobody told you when you're young." I wondered, did you have any to share? Things that maybe specifically in your life that nobody told you when you were young that maybe you wish they had, or maybe they did and you weren't listening?
I was trying to think of that, and it was like that's what I kind of came up with, like the don't sweat the small stuff,
Hmm.
because that is one thing for me. Like I was always more of a, full of anxiety, and I would worry about all those little things that really didn't matter,
Hmm.
right? Like I remember my one daughter's birthday. I wanted to make this beautiful, like I don't know if you've seen the Barbie dress cakes.
I have not.
You put like a Barbie doll in, and then you make the cake is the skirt. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. It's going to be so good. I'm going to nail it. And I made it, and it did not turn out at all. It looked a hot mess. But you know what? I just put the Barbie in it and just made it look kind of cute. And she loved it. Like, she absolutely loved it. You know, instead of me getting so worried and so upset about something that's just so small that would have upset me like crazy, it just let it go. I've really learned that life is just going to be what it is. You can't force it to go a certain way. You can't force people to like you. You can't force people to talk to you. You just have to kind of let it be. And however it's meant to work out is how it's meant to work out.
One thing that I wish that I had been told, or maybe I was, and I wish I had understood it or listened or whatever, is that failure will happen.
Yes.
We're all going to fail at something or multiple things. And that's okay. Yeah. It's okay to fail. And I don't know if that was either not explicitly said to me, or I wasn't mature enough to understand that and be okay with it.
Right.
But what I've learned getting older is that I will fail. The people around me will fail. And it's how we respond to that failure and how we come back from it that is most important, right. And what we learn from it. And I did hear that, when I was young. It's learn from your mistakes, but it right. wasn't as direct as you're going to fail, but then you're going to learn something from it, and maybe that can help you.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think that there is a lesson in everything, right? Like, if you really look at it, there is a lesson in everything that happens to you. Or sometimes it's kind of fun to take it and dissect it all and kind of see, he's not afraid to say and to, write these lyrics that show that, life is hard. It's not all butterflies and rainbows. And it's just nice to have that you can relate to, right?
This music that he writes, it takes us on a journey that we can go to and get and find comfort in. And it's absolutely wonderful. We talked about earlier how the basis of the song is piano and vocals. I know there's like a little bit of layering of his vocals and a little bit of distortion, but for the most part, it's pretty clear vocals and piano. That's one of the things I love about this song, is that you just get lyrics over a piano. It's something I appreciate.
That's Andrew, right? Like, that's that's what he's known for, just him and his piano. And I think it's the best way to like represent him too, right? Like, that song, if I were to like want to show someone an Andrew McMahon song that really hits hard, this would be one that I would pick.
Oh,
just the lyrics in it, and just like you said, like, it's him. And
how would you describe the mood of the song? If I were to ask you, what's the mood of the song?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. It's very almost like, I almost see it kind of like, I don't want to say dark, but like, it's got some depth to it, I guess. It's very, very deep.
Yeah, it takes you to some deep and sometimes dark places.
Yeah, it's kind of, fighting with some of those inner demons that have come up. Like, he talks about the friends that will become strangers, and it's like, that's happened with me. And, there was a best friend that I had for years that is now a complete stranger to me. And you hear that, and it's emotional, right? It's a very emotional, relatable song.
No, I can relate to that lyric totally as well. There are people that you think that are always going to be in your life, and it is pretty amazing. That lyric hits pretty hard for me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up, and we'll definitely be talking more lyrics, because that's just one of many here that hit me pretty deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd call this a deep thinking and reflective song. I looked up the definition because I wasn't positive, but I wanted to be sure. The word pensive was something that came to mind. And pensive, the definition is engaged in, involving, or reflecting deep or serious thought. I would say that's the best word I came up with. And again, I had to look it up because I wasn't positive, but I thought that might be a fitting word for this.
That is a very fitting word. I like that.
There's so many dynamic songs on this album. We get Skywriting and VHS, and even Smoke and Ribbons, which the ones I just named, I feel like are more upbeat and hopeful.
Yeah.
But I find in general, like, if I'm if I'm seeking a certain type of song, I really like the reflective feeling songs of the Wilderness era. Like, I'll throw out a couple more titles: Maps for the Getaway, House in the Trees. Those kind of come to mind
Yeah.
that may fit more into this vein.
Yes. Yeah.
So not necessarily sad songs. Some people might interpret it that way, but
Yeah.
more, reflective on
Yes.
what's happened and
For me, that's where like Me and the Moon comes in.
hmm
That's a big one for me that like I could just sit and feel that song and be able to, reflect on what's going on with my life with that song. And
yeah, I can understand why. That those are some pretty heavy lyrics and just
yeah.
the whole feel of that with the strings in it and everything.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful song. Good
Oh
choice.
yeah.
So let's talk lyrics. We've already touched on a little bit. You already mentioned one lyric that's particularly important to you. What are some where do you want to start with this? Because I feel like we could easily go through the whole song because
Oh,
there's
I know.
so many
I
great
know.
lyrics in this song. But where do you want to start?
So for me, another one that hit really big with my situation was your father was a criminal. He stole your mother's smile. That hit
Yeah,
hard.
I bet.
Just with my domestic abuse history, I do definitely feel, my smile was taken and I, became this kind of shell, but
hmm
I've gotten myself out of it the last year and I've gotten my smile back.
That's
And
great.
yeah, so I'm in a good place now, but that one hit. And just the way that it's like worded, it's just
hmm
so beautiful.
Yeah, like poetry, right?
Oh yeah.
The way he sings it, but the phrasing he uses. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are good ones. And that's the first verse. So I bet as soon as you heard that, you were probably right in for the ride
Oh,
on this one.
I heard that and I was like, all right, I'm in this song. This is going to be my song.
Yeah, I bet. It's interesting that I never get bored through the choruses with this song. He says the things nobody tells you when you're young a lot. I think he says it two or three times per chorus, and there's three choruses. But I never get bored of that because it almost always leads into some very interesting lyrics afterward.
Yeah.
I find when I'm listening to this song, I'm kind of waiting for the next piece. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sometimes I forget that he said that line. And sometimes I relate to this one more than another.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's almost like each one is almost its own story, right?
Yeah, it does it. You're right. I like that. You can put a story to each different line in the
Yeah.
chorus. It's like, oh my gosh, this could be pertaining to this over here. This could be pertaining to that. And for me, it means this right here.
Right.
I'll start with that first chorus. Nobody tells you when you're young that the days can leave you wanting and that the past can be a haunted house of mirrors.
Hmm.
Oh, I love that visual. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's where that dark piece is coming in. It sounds dark,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but definitely like reflective in the literal sense, obviously.
Yeah.
I love the way I can see it and I'm like, yes, I'm seeing my past around me and just kind of reflecting on the good and the bad and the ugly and how I'm going to move forward
Yeah.
through my life carrying all this baggage, basically.
Right. Yeah.
There's so much weight in that one line to me.
There is. And like you said, like the visual that just comes when you hear that line, it's like you can see it. Like you can see you in like, all the mirrors around and like I don't
Mhm.
know, it's just the way that he's able to write it and get it across. It's crazy.
Yeah. I've got to mention this next line because I know, at least for some people, it was a bit controversial. And so I do want to address it. He says, nobody tells you when you're young that the cops cannot be trusted.
Hmm.
You know what? I interpreted that line right away. It never struck me any other way other than when we're young, we're told that anybody that is a certain profession or anybody that is, a certain kind of person or whatever must be a good person. Like if you're this, if you're a father, you must be kind to all children.
Right.
If you wear a uniform, you must be a good person that helps people. And so that's
Right.
kind of the way I interpreted that line. And I know that some people took that line a little differently, maybe, or didn't really like it. And I've seen at least one comment out there, but that's okay. Everybody's
Oh,
entitled to their own
really?
opinion,
Yeah.
but that's just the way I interpreted it anyway.
And that's the thing. You're going to always kind of upset someone no matter what. But no, I interpret it kind of the same way. You can't. The thing is, we do go out in this world and we're very trusting.
Yeah.
And you always have to have up, no matter who the person is. In my eyes, you always have to have up a little bit of a wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to just throw everything, even if they are a cop. I don't know.
Right.
It's true that you never know, right?
Yeah, it's like anybody that, we tell our children, hey, if you get lost in the store, go find an employee. An employee must be a good
Right.
person, right? Because they work at the store, like they'll
Right.
take care of you. But it's kind of that same idea. It's just because they work at the store doesn't mean they're going to help you, sort of thing. So I know
Exactly.
I'm generalizing a lot here, but
And that's something like with my girls, like I teach a lot of, listen to your intuition
mhm,
because, yeah, they could be wearing a uniform and whatever, but if something feels off,
mhm,
listen to it.
right.
You never know.
There's bad people everywhere that
Yeah.
wear every kind of clothing. So I do like that and I know this is kind of one of the things that Andrew said in one of the quotes I read earlier, but the verses are more of these stories that he's telling. And then he used the choruses to relate it back to some things that he didn't realize until he got older or something like that.
Right.
I did think it was interesting in the second verse. Well, in the first verse, he mentions two states, actually. So the clouds hung over Georgia, and then the next kind of part of the verse, when you ran here from New Jersey. In the second verse, though, I'm going to jump back to the second verse. He mentions two cities that apparently are references to Georgia, which makes complete sense because he said Georgia in the first verse.
Right.
But Athens and Wintersville are also in Ohio. There was some
Oh.
speculation among the fan base, which was, I guess Andrew clarified that he definitely meant Georgia, not Ohio. But it was pretty cool that there's an Athens and a Wintersville both in Ohio. But
Yeah, and I mean it would make sense because he has such a connection with
right,
Ohio,
right. So I
right?
think we
That
all wanted like, he's talking about Ohio again. No, he's not.
yeah, you guys have a full
Yeah,
song.
we already
Let
get a
them.
song. All right, maybe
Yeah, you got a full song. Let them do some Toronto something for us Canadians.
we'll let Georgia have this one, and then
Yeah,
California has theirs, of course. But yeah, maybe Canada one day. Maybe he'll sing about
yeah.
Canada.
Hopefully,
Yeah. Or
hopefully.
at least maybe specifically Toronto or the town that you live
Yeah, that would be preferred.
in.
Yeah.
Just the other one I wanted to talk about with the choruses is some days you'll think you've made it just to lose, and that time is not
Mm.
a straight track. It's a forest with no map. You're walking with no shoes. I love that one almost as much as I love the Haunted House of Mirrors one.
It's the visual, right? And like
Exactly.
it seems like that's what you like is that visual where you can
Yeah.
actually picture
I
it.
can
And
see this green, mossy forest floor and somebody walking barefoot through it. I don't know. It's just very, and I can almost feel it on my toes. It's amazing that music can do that to you.
it's incredible. I know for me, the last bit in the song, he says, the wisdom's in the living, not the
Oh
years.
yeah.
And to me, like this is what that's all about, right?
Hmm.
Is it's in you learn through living. You don't, and it does make sense. Like even me with what I've gone through, I've grown so much and I've learned so much in this past year, and I wouldn't have learned that had I have not lived through it, right? Like
Right.
it's just it is such a strong lyric to me that it hits.
That whole ending piece that leads up to that line is great because a rebel
Mm-hmm.
heart won't listen, but to grow you must go missing. Just don't disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes on
Yeah.
to the wisdom's in the living, not the years. That is just such great poetry there, those four llines.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So that's where he kind of touches on yeah, I was probably told this stuff when I was young, but I didn't listen because
Yep.
we're kids. We want to do our own thing, and we think we know it all, and then we get older and we're like, oh, we didn't know it all, did we? We still don't know it all.
Exactly. We have a rebel heart,
Yeah.
right? It's the way it is.
Yeah, those two lines, but to grow you must go missing, just don't disappear, and the wisdom's in the living, not the years. That's like the perfect
Yeah.
1-2 punch right there in the gut. It's like, oh my
Oh, yeah.
gosh.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it puts out that thinking, right? Like it really makes you like I think that's what I like about that last line. Like, you think about the wisdom in the living and you can really picture things in your life that at least for me that I can be like, "Whoa, yeah, that's something that I've grown from and that's something I've learned from." And it's just it's incredible how his lyrics can really make you reflect on your own life.
Yeah. Part of what this line means to me is that, just getting older doesn't necessarily make you wiser.
Mm.
The experience of life and the things you live through, the things you survive, the experiences you have, the connections you make, the relationships you have in your life,
Mm.
a lot of those are what make you wise and you learn from. And some of that is the failures and the mistakes, of course, and the successes.
Oh yeah.
I can't forget about the
Yep.
successes.
Absolutely.
It's not about how old you are. It's not the years. It's the living that you've done and what you've learned from it. So I know we've already talked about lyrics, but is there do you have a favorite, whether it be a lyric or a piece of the song? Do you have a favorite part of the song?
Of this song, it probably was the wisdom and the living part.
Yeah.
That part just like it's one of those like things that I want to get tattooed on me. I probably won't, but I want to because it's just you can look at that or hear that lyric and it can mean something different every time that you hear it. And to me, that's just outstanding.
There aren't too many songs that I want to listen to every single word and think about every line as much as I do this song. That's what's really
Yes.
fascinating to me about the lyrics to this song. It's like I want to, like I said earlier, I want to hear what he says next, and I want to envision that and kind of reflect back on what that means in my life, more so than the typical song. I mean, definitely a lyrics person, but
Mhm.
there's so many relatable lyrics here. So I love the lyrics, and I do love that ending. That's probably, if I was going with best lyrics, that whole like that last four lines is my favorite.
Mhm.
I really like and I'm not typically into instrumental pieces, honestly, but I really love the instrumental bridge before the last chorus, where he just plays a
Yeah.
little bit of piano. I think it's really pretty.
Oh yeah.
It feels really powerful, and I think it's a good lead into that last chorus with those lines that we've talked about a lot. So.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for any time when he just does his piano.
Mhm.
Like that's one of my reasons I like Hurricane. I love that one because of the
Oh
piano
yeah.
in it.
Yep. This song hit me really hard on the first listen from the start, and it sounds like it did you too.
Yeah.
The melody, the lyrics, the emotion behind it. I knew
Mhm.
when this song started playing. So when they dropped that song on that day in February, it was going to be one that stuck with me, and it still has. Like
Yeah.
even when I'm listening to the album straight through, this is one that I kind of look forward to. I like to listen to all the way through. I like to pay close attention
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing. It is so relatable, right? Like you can kind of dissect it and put it into your own world. And I
Mhm.
think that's what's so great about it because you can listen to it every time and kind of have different thoughts come into your head and
Yep,
forever growing from this song is kind of neat.
absolutely. Other than what we've mentioned, is there any specific reason that you picked this song in particular? Because there's a lot of great Andrew songs out there. I know we kind of went back and forth on a few, and then we settled on this one. I thought it was a
Mhm.
good choice for now. Like I said at the top of the episode, being that it's off the new album. We've had a couple of months with the new album now. But was there another
Mhm.
particular reason that you picked this one?
You know what? The way that he just opens up with it in like for his show, it just was amazing.
Hmm.
How he, you know,
Kind of spoke to
the
you?
feeling of it. Yeah, it was just like, okay, yeah, this is the song. Like this, because this song already has so much emotion and feeling in it. And then when he's down in the crowd with you and he's just right there, there's so much emotion there that it's like the two together, it was just like, whoa,
Yeah, it.
this is overload. But it was perfect for that song because I think with how relatable it is and how real, like you said about the cop lyric and how that was a little controversial, but like it's real. And I think that that's what's so beautiful about it. And yeah, just him being down in the crowd, just being there with you, it made it everything.
I had this relationship with the song before the concert, and that gave me a new relationship. That experience gave me a new relationship when he walked pretty much right up to us, right by us. We just happened to be in the right spot at the right time. Let's face it, but he walked right by us. It was just so special because it gave me this whole new memory of this song, other than just listening to the lyrics in my car, at home, or whatever.
Right, exactly. And I wasn't fortunate enough to be right where he was with that song. I was a little bit further back, but seeing, like, I love watching the videos, like he'll share on Instagram and stuff. And like, you can just see the smile on everyone's face and it's just so awesome. Right. But I got to shine a little bit with him when he did the, I don't know what song I think it's Synesthesia, that he brings the parachute out. Yeah, when he did that, I like knew when I saw the parachute, I was like, okay, I know what's happening. I'm getting in the crowd. And so I kind of got in and I got right by him. And then my best friend got an awesome picture of him and he ended up going on like a table for like the sound or whatever. And he's like looking down at me and I'm looking up at him and we're both singing. And like, I have the biggest smile on my face. And it's such a good picture. So I was upset that I wasn't there for the beginning part to be right by him, but I got to for that. So I was like, yeah.
That's pretty special.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Those are fun moments in concerts when you really connect with the artist and you're like, again, Andrew makes the audience part of the show. He makes us part of the show. And that's what feels so special. Yeah.
Well, even during our show, I don't know did he do the, like on the blow up duck or whatever with you?
Yeah, he did.
At your show? Yeah. So I'm not sure if he wasn't able to do it in Toronto or what the deal was, because it was there. Like you saw it blown up, but he never went on it.
Oh, weird.
But he did crowd surf. So he asked everyone to bring him over to, there's like a bar at the side, and then he wanted to go do a shot.
Yeah, he did that at ours, but on the llama or duck or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, I think it is a llama, and it was sitting on the stage. I was like, yeah, he's going to go on it, and he never did.
Oh.
So I don't know if maybe it was something with our venue that he couldn't,
I bet the venue
or whatever
told him
happened.
He couldn't, a liability issue or something.
Probably not. Toronto is very strict with certain things, so it wouldn't surprise me.
That's a weird thing to be strict on.
But he still did the crowd surfing and went and got his shot and went back. It's like, oh, it's just so fun.
Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It was really, really great to have you, and really appreciated you talking through the lyrics with me and kind of bringing your story, your experience here to the podcast too. I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and I am honored to be your first Canadian on here. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we've gone international with guests apparently.
Yeah, look at that.
I wanted to say I did read your blog. I appreciate you sending me the link for that, and I will share it in the show notes if that's good with you.
Absolutely, thank you.
I definitely encourage people to read that because it's really sweet, really nice what you say about Andrew's music and how it's helped you through your tough times and become part of your story. So the positive light in your story.
Yes, thank you. I don't know if you it'd be awesome if you linked that, and then my best friend and I actually did a video on our Andrew McMahon concert.
Oh,
that
okay.
If you could link that would be awesome too. It was footage kind of like before, there's some tears in it from me, some emotion, and then some footage from actually As You Sleep. I got that from the VIP. I have that in the video. So yeah, it might be kind of interesting for some people to watch.
Oh, and I'll be interested to watch it. I'm sure other people will too. I'll definitely link that. So just
awesome.
Go ahead and send that link to me. I'd appreciate that.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing a whole new perspective to the show again. And anybody out there listening, feel free to DM me on Instagram or somethingintherwilderness@gmail.com by email if you'd like. And if you want to follow in Sam's footsteps, just chat me up and we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you so much.
All right. The wisdom's in the living, not the years.